Welcome, adjudicators, to another episode of Disputed, where two fictional characters go head-to-head, armed with only their advocates, and you will decide the outcome. Everything is disputed.
Welcome back, my friend. It's nice to see you. It's been a couple of weeks for us.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I looked at the schedule. I was like, "Oh, wow! Did we just do one of these?"
Yeah, well, we did it on a Saturday, so it was a little bit different than normal. So
that's what threw me off, because it's also the last time we had also had a month gap because of some scheduling stuff. So between that and I completely forgot that we did it on a Saturday last time. That threw me off too. I was like, "What is happening?"
It was kind of cool doing it on a Saturday, though. It was. I'd be kind of cool doing that again. I know because our not this next one, but the one after that would normally happen on Thanksgiving. So we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do that one, but we'll sort that out.
We'll figure it out.
Figure it out. So if you'd like to, sir, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, what's up, nerds and blurs? I'm Damon, father of two, husband of one, and the sensei of 17 syllable silliness. You may know me from such podcasts as Damon Does, in the Stack the Library podcast, and I am the Snooki of the Disputed podcast.
Jesus Christ. Well, thank you, Demond. Welcome, adjudicators. I'm Dean. I guess that makes me the Pauly D of the show. So you can find me on lots of podcasts. So many I've lost count now. But anyway, if you head over to podscure.com, you can find all of them and listen to all of them and give us lots of 5-star reviews, or don't. I'm not your dad. But you may call me daddy. So, man, oh man, so that last episode, that was a good one.
So much fun.
Yeah. So and this was two of the biggest names we've had go head to head. Jack Reacher versus Jason Bourne. So we've got not only Tom Cruise and Alan Ritchson versus Matt Damon. So, but before giving out the results, what do you say we go to the tape, my friend?
Low-key, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. I'm not going, you're right. We got Jack Reacher waiting in the ring for a little Jason.
He's taking no time.
I mean, he just jumped. Man. Oh, nice Michinoku driver. Big knee lift to the face. He just pounded him. God.
I think that was the day Jack Reacher ran out of fucks.
Man, they just fell all out of his pockets because he just beat the God. He beat that dude like he owed him money. He's like, come off my change.
But I do think Bourne gets in he gets a shot in there.
Oh, there it finally is. That's enough of that. Golly, it looked like Matt Damon fighting the actor for real. Jesus.
You do not fuck with Jack Reacher. Oh.
Man, he caught them hands, boy. Damn, it's a bitch. He's like, I don't you.
Who said you were through?
What was the name of that movie he did? It's for last. What was it was like the Last Samurai or the Last something.
Oh yeah. Was it? I can't remember.
Great
what
Wall.
It was.
That's what it was.
Yeah, Great Wall. Yeah.
That was that last little stretcher beat down was for the Great Wall.
Oh man. So
white dude playing a dude in China. Fuck out of here.
So as you can see, a pretty well handled victory for our boy Jack Reacher there. Now the number of votes we had this time were not quite as good as they were last episode, but we did get 24, a little bit one shy of what I like to get. But overall, Reacher took home the victory with a 70.8% of the vote to Bourne's 29.2. So thoughts on that, Devon?
Man, that was, Are the videos usually like an indication of the vote count? Because this was a thorough beatdown on the video, which you have to go to YouTube to watch it because man, WWE 2K does not do it justice, but you need to watch it anyway.
Yeah,
But I would like I don't know if that's because it reflects the reflected the vote count too. I mean 70% versus 20. That's one of the more lopsided victories, lopsided
yeah,
battles we've had. So
definitely. Yeah, I mean, you get basically 30% between the two, so it's a it's a yeah. It's a good one, good sound one. Um So yeah, mad props to our boy Acadia for yet another victory for Jack Reacher. And even though he didn't quite get the win here, Renee did a fantastic job with his advocacy of Bourne. So
yeah,
and
that was not an indication of Renee's efforts
oh
at
no,
all.
I mean
He was
when he
fantastic.
yeah, I mean when he came into Jason Bourne, he got handed that as a surprise at the last second. So, but yeah, and also every week, like we say, loads of gratitude to Keith and Heather Mackey for these awesome WWE 2K22 videos and characters that they make for us each week. So you can check them out. Twitter at Heather Mackey 1. That's MAKI 1. And then on Instagram at Soul Freedom 10, SOL Freedom number 10. So, Demond, what do you say we introduce this episode, shall we?
Yes. Tonight, esteemed evaluators, we complete our endeavor to reach the end of the Elite Eight with this final matchup of round 2. One scrapper comes from the dark underground world of assassins, the other from a faraway future in both time and space. Who are these two star-crossed combatants, you ask? Only two of the most tenacious exterminators to ever trounce a troublemaker. Beatrix Kiddo, aka the Bride, spoiler, from Kill Bill, versus Amos Burton from The Expanse. Everything is disputed.
Yeah, this is the wild card to me, man. I don't know what to make of this one at all, because these are probably out of all the characters, I think. Well, in real life, I mean, it has to be like the newest of the two, I think. I mean, because Amos Burton hasn't been around that long, and Beatrix Kiddo is not been around that long. So it's, I mean, compared to Jack Reacher, which started way early in the 90s with the books, and Kato, which was back in the 60s. So you got a lot of those that are really old. I think these are relative newcomers to the scrap game. So
these are the two. Yeah, these are the two newest left. Yeah, because Assam technically has been around, around since the 60s as well, because that was the original,
Yeah.
we don't need to get on all that.
True.
Trying to think. I think you're right. I think those are the two. Well, John Wick.
Yeah, true. John Wick. But I mean, he's got as far as screen time goes, he's got a lot more screen time than Kiddo for sure. And even Reacher. So he's got more substance there, I think. So these are a little bit, I guess, lesser known quantities maybe, but it'll be interesting to figure them out. So let's go ahead and introduce our advocates for the evening, shall we? A new advocate enters the ring this evening, stepping in for our buddy Ben. As he hails from Israel, was raised in New York City, did a decade in Sin City, but currently lives in Vancouver, Washington. You may sometimes find him out in the desert, volunteering at Burning Man as a temple guardian. You may also find him in front of his piano, where he's written an entire musical as a self-taught maestro. He also has an 8,000 plus score on Tetris Connected. Some know him as Inbers, others as fucking fantastic, other times as mild-mannered water bear. But for this evening, put your hands together for Ami Axelrod. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Good to see
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
certainly. So tell us who you are advocating for this evening and what skills you bring to the table for them.
Well, I am advocating for Amos Burton from the Expanse series. I am a good advocate for Amos because I'm familiar with both the books and their short stories as well as the TV series, and because I am that guy that loved Amos since season 1, but really came on board when he Rikered up his look and tacked on that sexy beard. I mean, goddamn, West Chad. Anyway,
Yeah. He is a good looking dude. You can't deny that.
Quite handsome, yeah. Yeah, I also listen to Ty and That Guy, and Wes IRL, in my opinion, can be a little annoying at times, but Amos Burton, I'll happily advocate for him winning a fight any day of the week.
All right. Well, welcome. So if you are ready, Damon, to introduce your advocate.
Yes.
That's the wrong one.
Our next advocate is making their way to their fifth dispute of the tournament. Hailing from Pittsburgh, PA, he likes to compose weird songs in the bathroom. He is an author, Tempo Black Belt, and the 2021 DDP Yoga Positively Unstoppable Challenge Champion. He's also got so fat. He's also woo! He's also got hands so fast he can take out Butterbean. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Brian Tan.
Back again. Often imitated, never duplicated, can't stop, won't stop, back again. Woo!
Brian Tan, the man with the plan.
And
There he
jam.
is.
And can and will jam. As long as the hoop is 7 feet tall.
Can relate and confirm.
Love my shorties.
Yep. Give some love for those of us that are under 6.
Under 6, I'm 5'8". Do you mean 5'6"?
I just said under 6.
I'm sorry, I referred to myself.
Okay. Hey, that's why I said under 6. That way it's a nice, comfortable bit. Also, I started since since the last we talked, since the last time we talked, I've also started studying Goju Ryu as well. Which was
is that an anime?
Goju Ryu is actually the martial art basis for Miyagi-Do.
Ah, very cool.
CC. And
So
Odette's got to get herself involved.
You gonna work out with Mr. Zabka?
I would like to. You know what? Next time I think he's coming to Steel City Con in December. I'm gonna go see him because he was here. I think it was Cobra Kai season 1. I think it was either season 1 or season 2. It was when Rob Garrison and Martin Cove came, and this was before I lost all the weight. So I'm gonna go up to him and be like, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I'm gonna show him the picture of us when I was like 400 pounds, and then I'm gonna be like, "And look at me now."
Dang.
And then challenge him.
Nah. As soon as I say, "Let's fight," he'll be like, "What?" Nah, I don't want to challenge Johnny Lawrence.
Johnny. Hey, well, he got challenged already, and things didn't turn out so good for him.
You know what? I still feel that there was a Letterkenny bias on that one.
Letterkenny. Well, not last time. So
No, not last time. The biggest upset of the tournament for sure.
definitely. By the way, Tiara has also brought in Wayne as one.
Yeah,
of the,
Wayne is the
newcomer.
Wayne is the absolute newcomer.
Yeah. However, he does have a lot more substance behind him.
More substance, more screen time.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the tournament, actually.
You know what? I'll tell you what, though. Beatrix Kiddo she has the least of everyone because you figure Amos has the huge books. He's got the book series, 6 seasons of The Expanse, I believe.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stuff to pull from.
Yeah, there's a whole lot. Now, I've only watched up to which season was it when they went through the thing to the new planet. Was that season 3 or 4?
That was 4.
Yeah, so I'm up to
Season
season 4.
Okay.
So yeah, but Amos has a lot to draw from as well. So Beatrix,
But you
but
get,
that's
you get,
okay, because
Sure.
here's the thing: you got quality over quantity. Because I am and I don't even need an intro on it. I am advocated for one Beatrix Kiddo. She is an amazing character. And I feel that I can happily and proudly advocate for her for a couple of reasons. One, I am a martial artist. Number 2, I understand when one feels that they have to fight with vengeance on their side. And 3, I've probably watched those 2 movies, that one story, so many times. While I may have missed something, I don't think I've missed much.
all right. Yeah,
Oh, and good to meet you, Ami.
I'm just glad that I don't have to actually fight you. You're just taking this on. I did want to indicate, pertaining to the other sort of materials, most of my arguments will not feature anything from the books.
Okay.
But there will be some things that I mention pertaining to the books, but I will put another spoiler right before saying this.
It's part of, you know what, and it's also part of the character lore.
It is canon.
I see that, yeah, so I see it's perfectly fair.
Story.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, when Ben was here last time, they also provided some of the backing from the books. So yeah, so that's totally game. Yeah, everything is game. So
yep, just because I ain't seen it, don't mean it ain't there.
Exactly. So let's go real quick. Let's go through the rules before we get going here. I know Brian's heard these a number of times, and this will be first for you, Ami, but and the folks watching. So each advocate will get a 5-minute opening statement, followed by a 2-minute rebuttal from their opponent. After that, there will be a question from Damon and I to each other's advocate. So since I introduced you, Ami, Damon will be asking you a question. I'll be asking Brian a question. And you'll have each question we ask, you'll have 2 minutes to answer. And there may also be, because we do have some folks who are viewing this evening, got 3 folks out there who are viewing, and they can put in questions and we'll bring them on the screen and have you answer them. And then once we're done with that, we will have 2-minute closing arguments for each of you. And then we will ask people to go vote. So being that, Ami, you were the first advocate brought on this evening, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the 5-minute timer. And let's see which one is it? Nope, not wrong one. Here we you stay there. All right, bring you over there. All right, and so if you're ready, go ahead. All right.
So to start, Amos has already beaten Lorraine Broughton from Atomic Blonde in his previous disputed matchup. If Amos can beat a highly trained MI6 agent, surely he should be able to beat the lesser skilled criminal assassin Kiddo, who the films prove is not a great tactician, as she rushes headlong into every fight she gets into without gathering any knowledge of the situation beforehand. Now, this is not to say that Kiddo isn't skilled. We do know that she spends years training things like the 3-inch punch and the 5-point palm exploding heart technique, and is a weapons expert in blades and guns. But her story is staunchly rooted in fantasy over Amos's reality. Kiddo is sloppy and gets by mostly on luck. As Oranishi points out, she's not as skilled as she thinks she is. Case in point, Kiddo gets dropped by Michael Madsen with a shotgun full of rock salt. Drunk as fuck, rusty skilled, fallen from grace, looking kind of greasy, Michael Madsen, looking somehow less put together than a woman who's just spent 4 years in a coma. Now, Amos's shotgun, for contrast, well, his is an automatic, and he doesn't use rock salt cartridges. Guaranteed his shotgun's fully loaded with explosive, self-propelled slugs that will decimate whatever gets in its trajectory, and he won't stop firing until he's absolutely certain whoever is trying to kill him is 100% dead. Now, the bride might be graceful, but Amos doesn't play games, and he's not above fighting dirty if it comes down to it. Besides that, other armaments at his disposal include the Rocinante's autocannons and its railgun. So, whichever way Kiddo might come for him, she's likely to take a spanking. Speaking of taking a spanking, Kiddo clearly has daddy issues, ergo shacking up with a fossil like Bill and immediately falling for Kirkland brand John Cusack from High Fidelity immediately after she escapes Methuselah. Now, there is a non-0% chance that she would simply get distracted by Amos's, to borrow a term from them kids on the internet, strong daddy vibes. Now, Amos may be, as he calls himself, a talented amateur, but he's ruthless and a natural-born survivor. And as Way/Marianne, Jess Salguro, finds out in season 4 of The Expanse, he doesn't get distracted by attraction or feels. Even if he likes you, if you get in his way of his mission or try to kill him, Amos won't stop until either you're dead or he is. And here's a book spoiler. And even death won't stop him. Now, Beatrix Kiddo might have figuratively come back from the dead when Bill shoots her in the head and she survives, but in the books, Amos is literally shot in the head and is resurrected by the protomolecule technology on Laconia, and the service and repair drones, referred to in the books and short stories as strange dogs, bring him back to life. This resurrection makes his skin gray and his eyes black, but Amos Burton is effectively immortal, and super spoiler for the books, as particularly evidenced in the last passage of the last book, Leviathan Falls, which states that Amos has survived to 1,000 years into his future. So, at the end of the day, and her story, Beatrix Kiddo, even with all the special effects and essentially magic, but definitely fantastical kung fu, is just human. Amos Burton, by the end of his story, well, he's something else. And I'll bank the rest of my time.
All right. Let me go ahead and stop that. So, minute 15. All right. Let me bring you up here, Brian, and start a 2-minute timer. And go.
I don't know who Amos think he's somebody's daddy, but he ain't give no sort of daddy vibes whatsoever. One thing I will say is that you're right. Amos is a badass. He is my favorite character on the show. Props to where it's due. But the one thing that will not work in his favor is the fact that when a force of nature is coming to you, I don't care what you think you got, you ain't getting, it's getting you out of its way one way or the other. Granted, yes, rage does make one sloppy, but it also makes one deadly. And when someone that she initially trusted and promised her that he would behave, took her out and killed her child that she didn't know was still alive, all she saw was red. Look at Vernita Green. Open door, fist to face. Amos ain't gonna get a chance to pull out a shotgun because Beatrix is gonna knock his ass into the next tomorrow in the next plane. Period. Sloppy, yeah, but Amos is not necessary. Amos ain't no prima ballerina in what he does either. Amos is a brawler. He is custom made for someone of Beatrix Kiddo's skill. And less skilled, less trained. MI6, no shade on them, but I'm sorry. This woman survived for how long with a misogynist kung fu master? And she survived. And I'm sorry. Walking up all them steps, holding buckets of water on your shoulders and not spilling a drop, that is intense core strength. That is intense upper body strength. She's whooping somebody's ass. And yeah, Michael Madsen's Bud was definitely out of a lot. But the bottom line is there are certain things that are never lost. The fighting spirit never goes. He proved that and she proved that. And I'm banking my 4 seconds.
All right. That's whoop whoop. All right. So now if you're ready for your opening statement.
You know I'm always ready to talk.
No. Come with it.
Not much is known about Beatrix Kiddo's past, and in of that makes us know that she is someone that is deadly. Beatrix Kiddo, while yes, having daddy issues, she rode those daddy issues to become among the most deadliest women on the planet. And Oren Ishii may want to sit there and say that she's not as good as she thought she is. Yeah, she can talk all that noise while she have the fresh air running off that freaking gray matter. Okay? Okay. Not to mention the fact that the bride did not need any fancy futuristic proto-molecule to bring her back to life. She didn't need it. What brought her back to life? Rage. Unequivocal, malevolent rage. She-Hulk wishes she can snap out the way Beatrix Kiddo snaps out. This is a woman who basically, yeah, you got a black belt in karate. Good for you. Now let's take you overseas out into the monastery and let's see if you really know what to do. And when you're training with a guy who hates you, that has no problem breaking your bones just to make you get stronger, that says something. And having the wherewithal to be able to talk an acclaimed sword maker into breaking his vow for you to have your vengeance. And she took out 88 people.
There are only 50 people in the.
I don't care. I'm going by the name. Okay, 50, 88. She whooped so much ass, the whole world had to turn gray because it just got that damn brutal. And then she still had time to take on one of the deadliest young assassins on the planet. Even when she looks like she's beaten, even when it looks like she's outmatched, Beatrix Kiddo has that it factor that keeps her coming. You have to put her down. And even when you put her down, she just keeps coming. To quote Tony from Rocky, you don't need that in your life. Go get some new meat. Because no matter how bad you beat on her, she won't stop. Most people, if you bury them 6 feet under, they are going to freak out, pass out, and die. Not Beatrix. She fought her way out of the grave. When you can will your muscles out of atrophy, that is someone that I do not want to mess with. It is not just about being graceful. It is about having such a strong will that you will not be defeated. You will not stay down. And then she was able, for as much hate as she had for Bill, there was a thin line between love and hate. And without hesitation, she took him out. She waited and she was able to bide her time because she's also a good mama. She ain't gonna let her baby see her take nobody out. She was able to sit back and accept all the emotional trauma and then the realization that her daughter was still alive. And I don't care, as happy as you are still gonna be messed up in the head. Amos is not happy that he's friend zoned by Naomi. All right, he is straight up friend zoned by Naomi, and you know what? You could see that when her and Holden are starting to get together, he's being chill about it, but you know there's a little something there, a little bit, and that's understandable. That's understandable. But Beatrix is able to bide her time. She takes it and then she destroys, absolutely destroys. And the bottom line is, no matter what, no matter which way you cut it, no matter which way you serve it, you can call it pie, you can piss in a jar and say that it's your mama's peach tea, iced tea. Beatrix Kiddo is going to take that right foot, put it across the left side of your face 4 or 5 times before she shoves her foot up your ass, turns you into a boot, and then walks you useless. And I bide my 26 seconds.
All right. Whew. All right. Let me write that down.
Walk you useless.
All right, let's bring Ami back up here, and I'm going to start the 2-minute timer. If you're ready,
I am. See how you dig this argument. So the Kill Bill movies are revenge fantasy movies and decidedly not rooted in reality. What with their colorful palettes and sudden color changes, fantastical settings and elements, and various incredulous assertions for their stories that prove that they exist in Tarantino's reality and not a realistic one. Kiddo, after spending 4 years in a coma, would have muscular atrophy sufficient that would simply not allow her to lift herself off the floor. let alone strip buck, dress herself, pull herself into a wheelchair, roll herself out, drag herself into the pussy wagon, close the door, nor will herself into complete rehabilitation in 13 hours. Besides which, there's 2 dead dudes, including a hospital employee, laying in her hospital room those 13 hours while she's in that employee's car in the parking lot? Incredulous. I think there's a strong argument to be made that the events in the Kill Bills are actually a tragic revenge fantasy of a woman who got shot in the head by her geriatric, abusive, and sociopathic assassin boss/boyfriend, and who is living out the rest of her life in a coma in her hospital bed, imagining that she could get back at the people who did this to her. And this is exemplified by all the fantastical things she does. Her years of care in that hospital are paid for by Bill, her life extended so that she could steal away their kid, use her for his own sadistic whims, and revel in the satisfaction that she is alive and suffering. Beatrix is likely aware that Bill is responsible for her state of being and that he is the one paying to keep her alive, so she does all she can. Imagine a revenge that will never happen. Did I get that extra banked time?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I see. So, given this supposition, it's possible the bride was never actually an assassin, but let's take it as a given that she is. Outside of her comatose fantasy world, Kiddo would be beholden to actual physics, which would render her much more susceptible to Amos's brutal assault. Without fantastical things like the 5-point palm exploding heart technique, Beatrix Kiddo might be an incredibly formidable opponent, but ultimately incredibly susceptible to bullets, of which Amos has more than enough of and can always 3D print more of back on the Rossi. And Amos has the discipline, expertise, ruthlessness, and the technology to give Kiddo a burial she can't punch out the airlock into the cold vacuum of space. And that's my argument.
All right. Okay. Let's bring everybody back together here. Where is it? There we go. So yeah.
Coming with heat.
It's an interesting take.
Yeah. Demond. And I knew we do have one question sitting in the queue, but let's go ahead and do our questions first. So if you have anything, Demond.
Sweet.
Let's assume they're in the same universe and in a real, and we'll concede that it's most likely that Amos probably has the advantage in his universe, if you will. If we pull Amos to the Kill Bill universe, 1, how does he fare? And 2, does he have the patience to outlast Beatrix Kiddo and with the skills that she has?
I think so. If he's pulled into the comatose fantasy universe, he is given the exact same sort of fantastical style, and he's more disciplined than she is. He prepares attacks and plans. He thinks about who his opponents are and how to get to them. He's actually good at egging them on and making them attack him instead. Beatrix, she just shows up and is like, I'm the greatest ever, and goes into a fight, and a lot of times that doesn't go her way. And yeah, part of the fantasy is getting out of it, but ultimately Amos is the better fantasizer. Like, he also spent more of his life in fantasy, as a child of abuse. It did make him hard. He had started as being abused, in a sexual manner as a kid, and then when he got too big, he became a tough and beat up the people who needed being beat. Which, in my argument, is everybody in that fucking place should have been beaten up by him, and he spends the rest of his life doing that. Beatrix also has that mom moral compass, but so does Amos. And the question is, why are they fighting, right? If that would be the strangest thing to me, is what would get them going at it in the first place. But yes, ultimately I think Amos would, if it's not actually her fantasy world but just a fantastic Tarantino world, I think Amos would win.
All right. So, did you want to respond to that, Brian?
Yeah, I do. Here's one thing that I do want to say. The Catan could continuously refer to it as her fantasy world. As far as we know, as it is written, it is actually happening. Because the bottom line is, The Expanse is, at least when I first watched it, to me, it felt like Mass Effect, which is a huge fantasy. So just because she was in a coma, it's still her reality. So to refer to it as her fantasy dream is kind of a slight against the writer, and it's a slight against the mythos in and of itself. Because at the end of the day, all these cats are fantasies. They're
At the end
all
of the day, they're all
fantasies.
fantasies. That is
Yeah.
absolutely true.
So
This
to
is true.
refer to her and everything that she does as fantasy, it really takes away from the for lack of a better term, the respect that this character has elicited, and I don't think that that's fair to say for the character.
I do recognize that there is a lot of respect that has been garnered for the character and for the films, and I mean, the argument does include her actually being in a fantasy, but rather that Tarantino films are in an alternate reality, in an alternate
is The
fantastical
Expanse.
reality.
So is The Expanse.
The Expanse
All of this is in a
rooted
fantastical
in
reality.
physical possibilities, though. Like, that's something that the authors like take a lot of time to,
Yeah.
Well,
with gravity.
I think for the necessary for this particular argument, they're in the same realm of whether they're fantasy or reality.
Yeah,
So
they're still doing the same things in
there's-
their stuff.
they are still on common ground. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So
with that being said, here's the thing. Beatrix, we don't know a lot about what Beatrix's life was before. So to discount and say that, for one, Amos's upbringing it's a horrible one. That's one of the things that make me love the character. He's my favorite character on that show, other than Bobby Draper. Those two are my two favorite characters.
And Naomi, like, they're all great characters.
They really are.
They are.
Very well written characters. But we
Mhm.
don't know about, and we talked about this already, is that with Beatrix, we don't get a lot, which sucks. And I think that a lot of it, though, is stuff that she doesn't want anyone to know. We can assume that her... Not all black people look alike.
Thank you, Brian.
We can assume...
I can't even grow
that-
facial hair.
Yeah, Damon's like 10 years older than me, and I've had a beard for longer than he's been alive.
all right.
So anyway, so the point that I'm making is we can assume that Beatrix Kiddo and Amos probably had some similar upbringings, because she has no family, no friends, no past, no nothing. Not to mention the fact, so one could safely assume, not to mention the fact that she was also being sexually assaulted while she was in her coma, which is and she remembers that. So with that being said, if they were on similar paths, once again, and I think Ami brought up a great point, why are they fighting? Does she see Amos as a hired gun that's between her and Bill? If that's the case, she's getting him out of her way. You don't get between a mama and the guy that caused her baby to die. You don't. Now, I'm sorry. What was the initial question? Is if we put them on level footing, how would they fare?
They're on common ground.
I think if they were on common ground,
hang on real quick, and let me add Tiara's question to this. So
no guns, no
no
swords,
swords, just hand to hand, toe to toe.
I think that for one, Amos is going to go to use his strength, which makes sense. Amos is a brawler. Amos is the rip your head off, swing, and knock you into the next universe type. Perfectly tailor-made for Beatrix Kiddo. All right? She's gone up against multitudes, and she's gone up against people that are physically stronger than her. And each and every time she finds a way to get by. Her training and her experience, granted, yes, he does have the military training to back him up. But as he starts getting into that brawler mindset, she is going to be able to counter and start to hit those pressure points. I don't care how strong you are. When someone is a master, or in this case, mistress, of pressure point shots, and joint manipulation, she's going to be able to do that. The matter is she going to be able to handle those punches that come? And yes, she will. She's proven that she can do it.
Can I counterpoint?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that Amos regularly travels at multiple G's, indicating that he is used to several of Earth's gravities, meaning that when he's on a planet at the same gravity as Earth, he's effectively a superhero.
But we're also on even kilter. We're on the same wavelength.
We're on the same planet and in the same instance, but he will experience physical strength greater than a human who's lived their entire life on 1G.
So you're saying that because he's been around stronger G's, he's basically worked himself out because of that extra gravity?
Yeah, it's like people who, practice for marathons at high altitude and then come down and they just like
that's two different things.
Stronger.
That's two. You're going for lung capacity versus muscle
not just
ability.
Lung capacity.
Well,
it's also oxygenation of the blood. And...
I mean, I do think it goes to the training aspect of things for each of them. However,
sure,
she's trained in the martial arts and the pinpoint or whatever the hell that was, the palm pilot.
Palm pilot. Way to show your age.
Yeah, that is an ancient reference.
Hey,
we all laughed at it. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
I mean, I was this close to bringing up RCA.
Zenith.
Get your Radio Shack on out of here, man.
Seriously, hey, I wish there were.
Go to Woolworths.
Woolworths.
Wow. Pull out the Steers catalog.
You got your green stamps?
Oh, wow. Wow. Bro.
I think we're
Amway.
trolling into the past now.
You know how old I am.
Light speed.
We lost everybody under 40.
Hand-to-hand, no weapons. I think that Amos is brutal and savage and won't stop until he's dead. And so I think that given the strength component and the absolute savagery of his assault, even with Kung Fu, I don't know that Kiddo would make it.
Well, here's my rebuttal to that though. I don't so much the only difference then is between the two of them would be then the fact that he's been at higher G's and blah blah blah. She's not just going to stand there and let him land shots. So, all right, he might be stronger, but there's still going to be he's going to suffer some issues toward
definitely
being
take
on
damage.
it.
Yeah, no
doubt. But so he's not going to initially he might be able to come out firing all cylinders, but the problem is that his cylinders aren't going to be at best for long periods of time, where she's more built for distance. And
that's why we have our adjudicators here to vote for who's going to win. So let's go ahead and bring up the final bit. So actually, it'll be Brian going first here. And Brian, if you're ready, your 2-minute closing statement.
Yep, sure. I'm not gonna sit here and the dispute is not whether Amos is a badass. If you've read The Expanse or watched The Expanse, you know Amos is a badass. Much love. Matter of fact, when I first heard about this, I wanted to advocate for Amos. However, at the end of the day, size and power don't mean everything all of the time. Beatrix Kiddo, as I already said, no matter how we try to look at whether she's dreaming or if it's just a fantastical reality, the woman is skilled. She can take damage and just keep coming. Even while pregnant, she took damage on top of damage on top of damage, a bullet to the dome, and she just keeps coming. She had dozens upon dozens versus her, took them out, and then had time to take out two of the deadliest individuals of said crew, not to mention 3 more of the members of the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad, which in that universe is the most deadly assassination squad there is. Despite the weaknesses of decision making that she has made at times, she still manages to come through. Whether you want to call it luck, fate, or karma, she makes it through because she's just that damn good. And even if she does make a mistake, she never makes the same mistake twice with the same opponent. And if you give her that inch, she's taken the top of your effing skull and your heart and your favorite kitchen knife in your chest. And then she will take your eye and leave you with her namesake in a trailer.
All right. Well done, my friend. All right, Ami, let's bring you up here and let's go.
Amos Burton has the background and experience in his upbringing that makes him a natural born survivor. And people who experience that kind of trauma and resiliency, again, we don't know Kiddo's background, and it's likely possible that she has something similar to him. Nonetheless, Amos has some things that Beatrix doesn't have, which is the ability to plan ahead. Beatrix's major plan through the whole thing is kill Bill. And everyone who is in the way, she takes on, sometimes with surprising results of, ending up buried and taking on more people than she necessarily had anticipated. And she makes it through, but, a little forethought beforehand might have given her less hurts to work through. Amos, on the other hand, he is a tactical thinker. He's not the smartest tactician, but he does think things through. And then joining that with the strength advantage that he would have for the space travel that he has experienced, I think overall, given a head-to-head fisticuffs sort of brawl between the two, I think Amos definitely comes ahead between that. With just swords and whatnot, I don't think that Amos has the kind of training that Beatrix does, but bring it into the firearms realm again, and I think the explosives and science that Amos has at his disposal would make him the victor.
All right. Well, folks.
Wow.
I'm winded from that one.
This is probably my favorite one so far.
Yeah. So hang on. So now the dispute has ended, folks. It's time to go settle things. So we're going to have you go to disputedpod.com/Kiddo V Burton. That's KIDDO VBURTON. It's right there on the screen if you're watching live. So go vote. Voting will be open until the Tuesday before the next episode, which will be happening on the 10th. So that will be what's the Tuesday before that?
First.
The first?
The Tuesday before that? No, it would be the 8th.
The 8th.
Right?
Okay. So yeah, you're right. So voting will end at noon Pacific time on the 8th. So you've got until then to pick your champion there. So Demond, what do you think, bud?
I know I sound redundant. I have so much fun doing this, and it's a testament to the quality of adjudicators that we've had, and it just keeps getting better, and everybody keeps stepping their game up. Like and then I've learned something new, and I didn't know anything about zombie Amos, which may change my vote.
Yeah.
Now that's in the books, right? You said
that is in the books. Yeah. That
that's actually
later
going
on.
to be my next audiobook series, actually.
Yeah, there's
that I think it happens in Strange Dogs. Is a short story.
Maybe Beatrix is also a zombie too. Maybe that's how she stayed alive.
This
That's
is
possible.
It's a little late for that argument.
She definitely got into that trioxin 245. She took a shot to the head.
And I also like the alternate theory of that she's just in her coma, just living out of fantasy until she dies. Like it's a bit dark, but
that is an interesting thought.
That is a very cool cool thought.
Johnny, get your gun, kind of.
Yeah, I didn't have the time to watch the whole film before this, but I did look at clips, and especially the opening. In my opinion, has a strong suggestion of that. But
yeah, it does. I mean, now because I never even thought about that before, but as a theory,
I never thought of it either. But so I mean, it does. There is an argument that could be made for it, but especially with the head trauma,
right.
But this is Quentin Tarantino,
and that's it. Like Inglourious Bastards, for example, is an alternate reality where Hitler dies in a theater, which didn't happen.
Right.
And that there's like fan theories about how all of his movies exist in that universe where Hitler died in the theater, not in the one that we have. So like, everything is in this fantasy.
It's kind of like Stephen King.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I mean, let's be honest. There's like Django Unchained is a fantasy because there's no brothers was learning brothers was learning what to do what they did because they were the first cowboys and all. But there's no way a brother gonna go in there and take out a slaver and then not just get automatically lynched. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah,
right.
Everything
it's not with them around. But...
yeah, like everything that happened up until Monsieur Kandi went down, I could see it. But after that, nah. The Brian Tan cut ends up being that he ain't no Catcher Freeman. That's all I gotta say.
What you talking about?
that was for you, T.
For any fans of the Boondocks out there. So guys, I'm going to go to you first. I mean, your any plugs you'd like to give for your podcast? Anything else that you're doing?
I am at Axelrod Casts on Twitter. I've got a stream, Axelrod Casts. It has some older stuff on it. I'm retooling my brand, so there is some new stuff coming out. Gonna be tackling Grimm's fairy tales with Grimm and Barrett. We're going to look at it from a modern angle and maybe try and rewrite them to make it something more useful. Some of those stories are weird.
Yeah, very cool. Brian.
Yep, you guys can always catch me at the Plotaholics podcast, at Plotaholics on Twitter, on YouTube, Plotaholics podcast. I think that's Plotaholics podcast on Twitter. You can also go to plotaholics.com, to where two authors do a full form discussion on films. We are currently coming to the end of our Listener's Choice Halloween. We have done Friday the 13th, Night of the Living Dead, Tales from the Hood, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This week, we will be doing Insidious. Can't wait for that. Also, part of the Plotaholics programming is Tan Talks. Myself and Katie Solitis, the fourth Plotaholic, we talked about Rings of Power. That was a very, very interesting discussion. You can also catch up with us this Sunday live. We're going to be talking House of the Dragon. Newsflash, I hate everyone in that goddamn show. There is not one likable person. They are all shitbags.
And even the ones that are likable, they make unlikable pretty quickly. Like Damon in that last episode was something else.
Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Yes, Matt Damon.
He was
You know,
mad about the
Matt-
Bourne legacy against Reacher, so he's gone to get dragons from
Yeah,
the
you know,
Game of Thrones world.
I know Matt Smith is in it, who I love. He was probably my favorite new Doctor.
Mm,
And
he's great.
yeah, seeing him in other roles just throws me. It's
I'll
just
tell you,
I definitely
tell
get that,
you what,
especially with the blonde hair.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, there are so many people in that just made me so angry that like it's put me in a bad mood this week because I started House of the Dragon on Monday. I'm already on the final episode.
Oh wow.
I am
Okay.
so angry.
Hmm.
I am so mad. But also I am re-releasing all of my books. Invincible Heart and Unbreakable Mind, my science fiction dystopian fantasy stories that are the spinoff to Kendra Sauter's Permutation Archives. They are available now in paperback and Kindle format. If you go to Amazon and search my name, Brian Tan, you will find them. My urban fantasy novels, The Enforcer and The Hunted. If you like vampires, werewolves, magic, and vampires that don't fucking sparkle, you want to read the Path of Redemption series, where Bryce Creed, a vampire who came to America as a slave in 1680, has been called to the city of Pittsburgh to protect its mistress from a clandestine blood cult that is looking to use her blood for nefarious purposes. Also, in December, I will be re-releasing my erotic thriller, Ed and Livy. That will be coming out in December, and then I'll have all kinds of new stuff coming in 2023.
dope.
Yep, I just can't stay idle. I have to always be busy.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'll get my head situated so I can get back to doing stuff. I mean, I've got this whole sound booth set up and everything, so I can start doing voiceover stuff. So I'm my brain is telling me this is good, but I'm just waiting for it all to accept it. So
Well, you know what, Dean? If you would like, I will happily gift you some a couple of ARC Reader stuff of some of these releases. Let me see what I can do on that. I'll
all right.
Just for something to sort of dive into to
Yeah.
sort of distract your brain, and then pick them up on the Kindle so you can leave a review, because Amazon does not accept people leaving reviews on things that they don't purchase, because F the independent author. And I will
Right.
say this, if you buy books on Amazon, especially from independent authors, leave a review, rate and review. That is the lifeblood of indies, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Apple, wherever you get your content. If you are dealing with the indies, rate and review. Rate and review.
I can't do audiobooks. Tiara would have to do it.
You
I
know
can't-
what? I am intending on doing the audiobooks for my books, but at the same token, I think I might want to have a female reader for some of the female parts. So
Tiara is great at reading books, and I think she's probably going to shine at that because she's been doing it for years with kids. So
nice. It's just going to be the editing is going to be a pain in the ass. But
oh yeah, that C3 and how you have to do C3X for the Audible. It's yeah, I've been research. That's what I've been doing for like the last month, is researching voiceover stuff and the different capacities of it. So
yeah, so I'm hoping to get the audiobooks out, at least started within the next year. It's just difficult, man. It takes time.
Mhm.
It takes so much time.
yeah. All right. Well, so I'm going to give us our quick plug. So if you want to find anything for us, you can find us at disputedpod.com/links. We also have merch. If you want to find merch, disputedpod.com/merch. And very nice.
I need to get some merch.
Yeah, you do. And then all of our podcasts on the Podskier Network, you can find them on podskier.com, which includes this podcast, How Are You Now? The Podskier podcast, the Jack Reacher podcast and the Boondocks podcast, which has ended, unfortunately, because they're not continuing with it, which makes me sad because it was such a great show. I was very hopeful, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So, at this moment, I'm going to say that this was a blast, and
So much fun.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this Final Four turns out, because it's because we're going to be back in 2 weeks, November 10th, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, for the first scrap of the Final Four, Assam from Warrior
Ooh!
versus Jack Reacher.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Dean, you know how I feel about some Assam.
I love Assam too, but my boy is Reacher, and I have a hard time not betting on him because he has the training and the size. So
yeah, that's true. That is true. I gotta start getting my my arguments ready for that for sure.
Yeah, you may end up having to go against yourself.
Hey, I can argue with anybody, including this asshole.
I'm great at arguing against myself. That's a problem, actually.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So until next time,
I'm Damon.
I'm Dean. And remember,
Everything is disputed.
thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We are now asking you to go vote for your champion. We want to thank our advocates for their amazing defense of their champions. And finally, we'd like to thank the musical artists who created the music that helps make our show so great. We've got Hard Fight by Tajirigis, Game Changer by Icolix,